What's up, everyone, and welcome to the extended July 4th weekend. We're here to kick it off with you guys on Invisible Walls, episode 166. Right off the top, have some good news to give you guys and a little bit of bad news. So the good news is that you know that demo of BioShock Infinite we've been talking about and how we can't wait till you guys get to see it and we hope you get to see it? Well, you're going to be able to get to see it on the night of July 7th, Thursday at 1 a.m. Game Trailers TV on Spike TV has the world premiere exclusive of the complete BioShock Infinite demo. And we're talking about the whole 15 to 20 minute demo from beginning to end. An interview with Ken Levine to set it up, and then literally just rolling the demo, no commentary, no cuts, no nothing from beginning to end. So you're going to be able to check it out. And now, unfortunately, I do have to share some sad news. I don't know if you guys remember Video Game Reunion. It was a show that ran here on GameTrailers.com. In all honesty, probably one of the highest production values I've ever seen for a web series. There was a helicopter and cars blowing up in that show. I still don't know how that was pulled off, but the reason it was pulled off is this guy named Matt Lewis. And Matt Lewis right now is battling for his life. He's 31 years old, very talented guy. He literally produced this show on a shoestring. I still don't know how he did it, but he right now is fighting for his life with a rare blood disease called PNH. And we're reaching out to you guys to try to help in any way you can. There's not been an account set up yet to donate to help him with his medical bills. But the two things that you can do, one is donate blood. We do not know his blood type. It doesn't matter. Even if your blood doesn't go to him, it could go to somebody in need. So go to your local blood bank and donate blood. The other thing you can do is register with Be The Match. And that is at www.marrow.com, marrow.org. I'm sorry, not .com. Basically, what he needs is a bone marrow transplant. And it is a very peculiar situation where you have to have an exact match. So the more of you guys that go to get tested to see if you match, the chances of your marrow actually being transplanted into Matt is pretty high. So he is in a really tough spot right now, people. He's a part of our community, and this is our chance to kind of motivate you guys to get out there and help someone in need. So donate blood. Go to www.marrow.org. Try to become a match for his bone marrow, and we really appreciate it. And I know for a fact he can't tell you this, but he would really appreciate it as well. So with that, let's get into the show on today to talk to you about all the hottest news in the video game industry. And I'm trying to bring it up now.
It's tough. It
is
tough.
tough.
I mean, you got to be respectful.
BioShock kind of balances it out.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad we had that little bit of good news. Yeah. But the other part is I didn't want to wait till the end of the show to bring it up because maybe some people don't make it to the end, and I wanted to reach as many people as possible with that message. So anyway, we do have an awesome show today. So let's get it up. It is July 4th weekend. Ryan Stevens is here today.
Yo.
You already heard from Marcus Beer, who is back.
Yeah. Did you miss me? I know some of you didn't.
So I think some of them did. Are you feeling better?
No, I'm feeling much better. I should never cook chicken and then leave it in the fridge for a couple of days before eating it.
Ew.
Was it a vindaloo?
No, it wasn't. It's actually barbecue. I'd barbecued and then left stuff in the fridge, and I thought, it's going to be fine. But yeah, my own fault. I'm an idiot.
Well, I ate raw chicken in Japan. So
no, it wasn't raw. I did cook it. It was well cooked. It had just gone a little bit too long, you know?
Sashimi chicken.
Yep. Brooks is here too, as you heard.
You said get it up. I'm up. I'm here. Marcus backs away. You're fine.
And the only person you haven't heard from, no surprise there, Justin Spears on the show today.
Great on the show.
Yep. All right. July 4th weekend, here we come. Let's do it.
The following report may contain images of a disturbing nature.
All right. So first we're going to talk about a somewhat controversial topic, not amongst us, but I think amongst the community at large, and that is the law that the Supreme Court attempted to, I guess they
squished. They squished it like a fucking bug, 7-2. I mean,
basically they were trying to make selling M-rated games to underage kids illegal.
And by they, we mean the state of California, where we all reside, and Senator
Arnie had something to do with that, right?
Yeah, well, it was Senator Leland Yee,
I wonder what Arnie thinks about video games that have you banging your au pair.
I find it
or illegitimate children.
I find it hypocritical that a guy who made millions of dollars in the 80s and 90s getting teenagers to watch exceptionally violent movies.
Yeah, I watched all his movies when I was about 11.
And then
Conan.
stops. Yeah, wanted people then stops. You can't do the violent video games.
Yeah.
Well, that's why he made Junior.
Well, he was probably getting a lot. He was probably getting a lot of pressure from a lot of people.
From who?
Moms.
No, I think
and
this is
everybody,
honestly like one of his.
You should
personal-
all watch Twins.
It's a constant thing in the industry. Like violence in video games leads to violence in real life, and it's just an ongoing thing.
It's
just
totally
like,
disproven. It's that look,
Yeah.
it's a cyclical nature of the people getting various people in government getting upset. They did it with rock and roll. They did it with comic books in the 50s and 60s. They did it with video nasties. We had them in the UK in the 70s and the 80s with the advent of VCR. And now it's video games turn, and has been for probably the last 8 or 9 years, and it will continue to go on until somebody realizes that tweeting pictures of your junk is probably a worse thing to
Yeah.
do.
And just to be clear, I don't think the kids should be playing M-rated games. I think that we need to find a way to make sure that they don't play them, but this was not the solution. Arresting a kid that works at GameStop for selling a Call of Duty game to a 13-year-old, it's not worth the money and the time we're going to spend sending these people through the courts.
Well, this is the other thing is that I did some and this will shock everybody. I did some research on this week, and GameStop and a bunch of other places actually have corporate policies in place that if for one, if you do sell
Well, you know why they
an
have the
M-rated
corporate
game-
policy. Sorry to interrupt, but you know why they have a corporate policy? So that they aren't the ones that get arrested and sued. It's the employees who take the flak for it.
But the only
Yeah.
place you could get arrested and sued was actually in California, because
Right.
the other states don't have this law. Didn't and neither do we anymore. But the whole thing was that you needed to get a photo ID to confirm their age if they looked under the age of 17 or 18, or they needed to have their parents with them. And if not, they didn't go through those checks, the GameStop employee would be fired. And it's the same with Walmart, Best Buy.
Are you saying they were
Target.
being tested? They'd actually send in like test dummies to see if the
They were,
actual
yeah.
employees
Yeah,
were
well,
secret
you know,
shoppers.
qualified?
I
Yeah.
mean, even when I worked at convenience stores, they had people that would try to buy cigarettes just to test you,
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Well, the FTC sent every year they send out batches of teenagers 13 to 16 with the remit of buying material that's outside their age range.
Yeah.
So whether it be books, DVDs, music, whatever. And the figures that came back from their most recent one in April were that 60% of kids could buy music that was rated, was it parental advisory? 40% of kids could buy R-rated or unrated DVDs. 30% of kids could buy tickets for R-rated movies, and then only 13% could actually get hold of M-rated video games. So it shows that
we win.
Well, you'd think
Shows that
you'd
you
think,
just have to ask your friends if you get turned away, and you're like, hey buddy.
Yeah.
No,
Just gotta
how
grow
can
that
you?
$5, right?
That's what I
Yeah.
did. I could never get my own porn
And look,
when I was 14.
and just to reiterate what Shane said, I mean, I think we're all against this stuff getting into the hands of kids, but that rule was the law was so badly written, and the fact that it only picks on video games. If you're going to say, all right, no more stuff outside your age range, then movies and books and DVDs and music need to be all under the same rule. And that means, no, if I want to go and see Friday the 13th, I don't expect to see somebody bringing their 5-year-old because the dumb motherfuckers didn't get
Right.
a babysitter.
What about a universal rating system in tow that was the same across all platforms? Would
Well,
that
I
help?
don't think I mean, they are pretty much universal. They do work along the same way, but it's the implementation. And yes, there is the
Just
argument that
enforcing it, yeah.
it's big business.
I think
and
we should just adopt the PEGI system. It makes more sense than ours.
Peggy.
PEGI 18.
Well, you have PEGI, and you have the British Board of Film Classification also looking at video games as well in the UK. But I mean, I've said this before, and I'm going to repeat myself. In the UK, if you're under 18, you don't get in to see an 18-rated film.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who you're with, and I think that is that is tough because because the system here where you have the states setting their own laws. It's something that would have to come from Washington and would have to be something that's well thought out because.
Well, that's the other part of it is that state laws don't really mean all that much. Like, it would have been a dangerous precedent to set if that had passed, because then that gives onus to the rest of the country to pass the laws, blah, blah, blah. But truth be told, like, the feds still trump state law. So, for instance, in California, everyone thinks marijuana is legal. It's not really. I see on the news all the time the feds come in and bust all the dispensaries and blah, blah, blah. So just because something is passed in a state doesn't mean it's really legal across the nation, so to speak.
And let's talk about something that actually affects us all here, on the California level. Leyland Yee has been pushing this since 2005. He's obviously...
And by the way, he will never, ever take interview requests from the games press. Ever.
I'm sure he
He will
won't.
not do it.
He's a politician of the I'm not going to say highest or lowest, but he's a stereotypical politician in that he panders to making people afraid of things. If you look at his record, ever since he's been an assemblyman, he took over from Jack Thompson almost, because we know that idiot lost. But Yee is now running for mayor of San Francisco. Now he's running for mayor of the one city in the United States of America where 70% of the video games industry are based.
Yep.
The publishers, Ubisoft are up there, EA are up there.
All those people are essentially paying his salary as well.
All those people. I mean, and now he expects to come in as almost
Well, every politician needs an agenda. They have to, when they go out of office, they have to be able to look back and say, well, this is what I did. So every politician finds this one little thing that they pick on so that whenever they're out of office, they can always point back and say, I did something, I changed something. For whatever reason, this has become his agenda. But like I said, the infuriating part is he's not willing to answer any tough questions about the topic at all.
And plus, he's happy to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars of California state money, and they only just passed the budget again last night. California is $17 billion in the hole.
Well, all you need to do is take one ride around Los Angeles, and you can see it, because this whole city, every street in the city, is pretty much worthless at this point.
Well, the amount
They're
of
all
money
playing violent video games.
Yeah, and filling potholes.
Ironically, I actually read a post today from somebody in Oakland who actually said, I mean, the city of Oakland is so understaffed with the police force that it's actually getting overrun to a certain degree by gangs, and he wishes that those kids were inside playing video games as opposed to selling crack on the street corners. But yeah, I mean, you look at the amount of money he has spent on this campaign over the last 6 years. That would be enough to fund 30, 40, 50 extra teachers.
Yeah.
Probably, even more than that.
Probably enough to make a couple games too.
Hey,
Well, yeah, not quite. But one of the other interesting things that came up this week, obviously the ESA, the Entertainment Software Association, and the Entertainment Merchants Association, they fought this. They've been fighting this law. It cost them in excess of $2 million, and that money.
So there's another $2 million just burned.
Well, that was out of the ESA coffers,
Right,
which is obviously
which could have gone to something else.
Well, that's what they're there for, as as a lobbyer. But it's interesting that the company with the biggest M-rated game on the planet,
Activision?
yes, guess how much they contributed to that fund.
A shilling.
0?
Well, they're not a part of the ESA. They
tuppence.
refuse
2
to be.
shillings.
Well, this is it. They are in along with whichever companies are not in the ESA.
I think
they're happy.
Sega, maybe.
Yeah, they're
Don't
happy
quote
to
me on that. I don't want to
Well, they're happy
disparage
to
Sega,
take-
but I believe Sega.
I heard Shane said that Sega didn't.
Well, they're happy
Juicy.
to take the cash. Take the cash benefits of being able to sell games. And John Riccatello came out on Tuesday and said, if this law had passed in California, they would have had to produce a separate version of their games for California.
Oh yeah.
Which means that us as reviewers, by
Germany.
the way, yeah, I mean, we would have been treated, it would have basically had a knock-on effect, and there would have been, it would have amped the cost up of game
That'd be
development
awesome. So
all over the
Black
world.
Ops, everyone would be robots, right?
Wait, can I ask you real fast?
Robot
If
Castro.
we can have this. What happened in Australia that banned
Probotector.
violent video games?
They
down
don't
No,
there?
they're
have-
just really strict.
They're
They
just
don't
really strict
They don't
as
have
hell.
an 18 rating. They only have a 15 rating, and anything above 15 rating
Cannot hit store
You know,
shelves.
the really not the really violent stuff.
Yeah.
can't go there. But they're actually looking at legislature to add an 18 rating,
so
down
that they
there.
could play Mortal Kombat legit.
They can indeed.
And
So
not have
here's a case where we need to thank the ESA.
We
Yeah.
do. I mean, to be fair, we give them and a bunch of other, people associated with them a little bit of shit. But both they and the ESRB are doing their jobs. Yeah, we get pissed off when they come and say, "Oh, you can't show this and this
Well,
and
they're,
this."
they're protecting their interests anyway. So
They're protecting their
I expect
interests,
them to do
but it's it's score one for the games community.
And
But
freedom of speech.
the
Freedom of
worrying
speech.
thing is that Leyland Yee has said he's going to appeal, and he's got the support of the ultra Nazis, as I like to call them, in the Parents Television Council, who are a bunch of self-appointed Bible thumpers who think we should all be living, in the 1950s.
Well, we need to vote that dude out of office.
out of California.
Out of Earth.
Finish him.
Oh, that's a stinky one.
All right, so I'm fully convinced at this point that this episode should be called Episode Controversy, not 166. So Mike Damiani has just stepped to the plate. He's going to talk to us about Resident Evil Mercenaries, the game. Now, there's a controversy swirling around this game because you cannot erase the save data, and there is one save slot. So essentially, they're completely cutting out the rental market, GameFly, Redbot, all that.
They're saying that it's not to hamper reselling. It's just a game design decision they made.
That is the biggest pile of horseshit ever.
I mean, yeah, it's a dumb decision, but honestly, at this point, the game is.
That's the least of its worries.
Yeah, that's the smallest problem the game has. But
maybe they did this because they knew the game sucked.
Possibly, and I'm going to say this. With this type of game, it's like an arcade score-based game. Like, in this context, I honestly, personally, don't give a shit if the save file can't be deleted and stuff. This is the type of game where Capcom does that bullshit where you got to play through the game for hours to unlock stuff that should be available immediately.
Right.
That's how they artificially lengthen the game.
So actually, if you buy it used, you're cutting out the
bullshit. You're cutting out the bullshit, but I understand the context. The precedent they're setting, if so it's to stop an RPG from doing this, that would piss me off. That's the end right there. As soon as a game that has serious progress like that does it, that people are going to rage.
Then it brings up the question, why release physical-based games at that point? It's like...
But I mean, thankfully, I'm glad we're not in the age of everybody's going cartridge. It's cartridge-based. I'm glad it's only the 3DS that is going to impact us because you can't really pull that shit on
well, you wouldn't think, but
yeah, I mean,
remember we were talking about the passes, and we were like, oh, the online passes are never going to work. People are going to rise up in revolt. Now it's just an accepted part of the industry. In the matter of 3 months, it's become an accepted part of the industry.
Even for games without multiplayer.
But I think the passes are more tied into online play as opposed to.
But still, it's them
disc.
trying to cut out the rental market or the used game market so that people still have to pay that extra $10 to play online.
Dude, I'm with you on this. I mean, when I want to sell my car, do I have to go back to Ford and give them 10%? Fuck no.
Right.
I mean, seriously, once it's out there, it's out there, and this is, we've had this conversation before, and the used market is, honestly, for games like this one, because it's apparently a bit stinky. They need all the help they can get. They need to get.
Well, truth be told, I mean, the used game market is kind of killing the industry. And if we could find a system where the publishers make the money off the resale of the games instead of GameStop lining their pockets with the money, then I think that's fine.
We work in a free market economy, unfortunately, until we shift from physical games, whether they be cartridges or discs, and we go to a cloud-based system where everything's delivered.
That's why they're going to push as hard as possible to get there.
A cloud.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to do maybe they could do a patch to fix this because it's on the cart. There's something to do, but in Capcom, maybe they'll be like, hey, pay $1 and we'll give you a DLC that lets you delete your save.
That's the type of stuff that's going to
buy a delete token.
Buy the option to delete.
Well, give us $20.
This is the guys who charged. They are charging people in Japan to beta test a Mega Man game. I mean, they are. I mean, the princes of nickel and diming. I mean, they make Activision look like saints at times.
You're right. So Damiani, I think we've talked about the controversy a little bit. I think we all agree that it's bullshit, and we're all pissed off about it. And hopefully, it doesn't permeate into the rest of the industry. Blah blah blah. But now let's talk about the game. We've already kind of mentioned that it's a piece of crap. Why is it a piece of crap?
It's just a rush job. This is just like Capcom being lazy 101. I mean, it's like they saw a window of opportunity to put out a game and make sales, and the game is probably going to sell despite the bad reviews it's getting. It's just, one, it's all rehashed content from the previous Mercenary modes from RE4 and RE5. Like, there's almost nothing new in it. They just took the existing stuff, poured it over, and then for months we heard how great this game supposedly looked, and then when you actually play it, stuff runs the animation and the frame rates.
It has varying frame rates depending on draw distance, which is pretty weird.
That's not that surprising.
I mean,
it looks
noticeable.
strange.
Which means the more you're drawing, the more strain there is on the system.
Does it actually get worse if you've got full 3D mode on?
The 3D in the game sucks. I mean, I turned it off, and but in that game, it's a moot point. Like, you're not playing that game for the 3D, but
apparently you're not playing that game at all.
Why am I playing this game?
You're smart.
And I mentioned the fact that you have to play through to unlock everything. You're stuck with Chris and Jill at the beginning, and the rest of the cast is unlocked as you progress. And I just hate that about Capcom games. And then there's no online leaderboards, so it's a score-based game.
What incentive do you have?
Yeah, there's no incentive. I mean, the online, it was a little early, but it was not. It worked, but it wasn't that great. you'd shoot an enemy in the head, and 2 seconds later its head would explode, or you do like the melee move and it'd go completely through the enemy's model and it'd be behind you, then it would, die. There's weird things like that, but at least it gives you the online. But like, the thing that bothered me the most, and this might be really small, is like the menu interface is just atrocious. Like, just to you beat a level, you'd think it'd load up the next level for you. You gotta go like 2 levels deep into a sub menu to switch to the next level. It's like, why didn't you just advance the level for me? Like, just to change out stuff takes a little too long, and it should be a quick arcade style game, and it's just, I don't know.
Is there anything good about it?
It can be fun in small amounts, and if you like Mercenaries, it's just fucking more
That's what
Mercenaries.
it is.
So you're gonna enjoy that. But how long can you really play that? People who love Mercenaries and RE4
It's
and
pretty much a
5,
mini
like,
game.
Yeah.
They
Well, you
put
could
it on a
probably
cartridge.
buy
Yeah.
Here you go,
RE4
full price.
and RE5 used, get their campaigns plus their mercenary modes for less than you would pay for Mercenaries.
Yeah, you could buy
But it
like,
wouldn't work. It wouldn't work on the 3DS.
a used GameCube in RE4, and
Right.
you get the system and the game, and you have a better
And one of the best
experience.
games
Yeah.
ever.
But the performance is what worries me the most, though.
Well,
'cause
yeah, I saw some of the.
It was a good looking game in the small little doses we had seen.
Yeah.
And it just makes me worried for the 3DS in general.
Well, yeah, the system's
Though
just really not.
the Revelations demo looks
Yeah.
much better.
It
That's
does.
on the cart.
But
But
that-
you're also talking about a game
A
that
very
goes
small
room
slice.
by room.
No, I know.
So let me throw this question out. I mean, apart from Marvel
me
vs.
worried.
Capcom,
Yeah.
which was obviously a very, very good game, have Capcom lost the plot? I mean, they're not really pushing the Resident Evil franchise forward as they should. It's not evolving as a franchise. They've
Well,
got
they're
a
saying
bunch
they're
of.
working on something right now. That's
But I mean, coming out of their E3 booth, I mean, there was a couple of games that were kind of interesting.
Well, Capcom used to be a lot cooler, I would say.
I would agree with that.
clear.
Yeah.
What happened, man?
They're pissing off all their dudes, and all their dudes are leaving. All their high-profile developers are pretty much.
honestly, I
Pretty
think
much
they're
gone.
spending way too much time and money on fighting games. It's like
But Street Fighter 4 was like a huge success,
It was
huge amount of
great, but
money.
that's the
and
only- Was it a
people
huge
got pumped for
success?
it. Was. It pretty much. I mean, Mortal Kombat. If not for Street
I mean,
Fighter
we're talking
4,
about a couple million copies sold, which is that.
it's a lot of
that's
copies.
success,
And then
but-
people got psyched. People got into Marvel. They sold a shitload of Marvel vs. Capcom 3, a ton.
Yes.
Super successful. Then following that, Mortal Kombat's like, hey, maybe we should bring back Mortal Kombat. They did. They took some lessons from Street Fighter. I think they've done well with the fighting games, and I think
I actually thought they had
I-
a good showing at E3.
I do too.
For playable, I mean, they
had.
had so much. Like Azura's
you're
Wrath's
talking
cool,
about-
Dragon's Dogma's interesting.
Yeah.
I actually think oh god, what's it fucking called? Raccoon
Operation-
City.
yeah.
Not the best thing in the world, but still kind of interesting.
I figure fighting games.
Revelations looks good.
Fighting games are the only thing they're doing right these days to me.
Yeah.
Focus on what you're doing right, because I mean.
Well, I
they're-
mean, that's the other thing is they're really into dry humping the cash cow. I mean,
Yes,
that's what
they
Mercenaries
are.
is.
There's
the new
a-
Dead,
sorry,
the new
there's an
Dead,
image.
the new Dead Rising. It's an Alice Donut album, their live album. Mercenaries is that. The new Dead Rising, it's Dead Rising 2 with the old character. I mean, it's completely like give us your money.
Well, here's
Super
the
Street
problem.
Fighter
They're putting all their action
arcade.
adventure games in the hands of Western developers. They're not creating their own action adventures anymore because all they're doing is fighting games. And sure, 1.5 million copies of Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is great, but when you're talking about the possibility of selling 5 or 6 million copies of a really good action adventure game, it doesn't seem like such a big deal then. So I don't know what's going on over there, but
Well, I mean, Dragon's Dogma
lost
is
their
actually
dudes.
developed. That's a Japanese developed game that's got a Western feel to it. I mean,
Right.
it looks like a Western RPG. But I mean, I would say that I think that after saying have they lost the plot, I'm going to perhaps sort of throw something out where they kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. Where you look at they look at certain aspects of the Japanese development, which is so stuck in 10 years ago, where everything's androgynous, everything has to be XYZ, blah 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 blah.
except for
And-
Dark Souls.
But I'm talking about Capcom specifically.
right.
I mean,
Well, that's maybe the bigger question is, can the Japanese development community make a relevant action adventure game anymore?
Sure, they
But
can.
Capcom's also the most pan-global. They're the ones who they have Japanese producers working with Western development
but
teams and stuff.
everything goes back to Japan, and everything has to go through Japan.
They're all playing
so
catch up, though. It's like, look at Ninja
heavy.
Gaiden 3. Probably one of my bigger disappointments of E3. Not because it's a bad game or whatever. It's just another Ninja Gaiden that slid in QuickTime events. It's like, dude, QuickTime events were, in fact, invented in Japan a long time ago. So, and then you look at a lot of the other action games. It's like Asura's Wrath, same deal. It's all driven by like QuickTime events and some hand-to-hand combat here or there. It's like, dude, that's God of War. The Western developers did that a long time ago.
Tell me what you've done with her!
All right, so next we're going to talk about a DLC game. And I think this is only on Xbox Live Arcade right now, correct?
Yeah, I think Microsoft's actually the publisher here. This isn't part of the THQ deal.
So
This is Trenched.
So it's never going to PSN?
I can't say for sure, but I believe this isn't part of the THQ deal with Double Fine, so I think this was a straight-up Microsoft game. I saw it at the Microsoft booth at PAX East, so...
So the game is Trenched.
No, and this
And
is
it's made
the,
by Double Fine.
Yeah, so this is the Tim Schafer game that doesn't involve the fucking Muppets.
You're right. And
Amen.
I like Muppets.
absolutely...
Is it Tim Schafer or is another dude on it? Like, Stacking had another project lead.
Yeah,
that
I
kinda
mean,
broke it up?
yeah, I mean, Tim Schafer, I'm sure, went in there and was like, add a mustache or something like that.
He's in the credits.
But yeah, they've been giving a direct creative lead to random people. Like Costume Quest was one of their art directors was the creative lead on that game. So that's cool. I don't know who was the lead on this one though.
And I've got to tell you, I was completely, hopelessly addicted to this game until I finished it. It's basically a tower defense game where you
So
control...
15 minutes later.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
Yeah. It's basically a tower defense
You're
game.
doing
where
better,
you-
Marcus. Yeah.
where you control a massive mech, and then you're basically attacked by aliens, but you are in control of at least sort of, you're not just placing turrets and encampments and mines. You have control over this mech that sort of helps clean up the mess in addition to the emplacements that you put in.
Let's give it a little bit of background here, because you absolutely hate tower defense games, don't you?
And I'm completely biased towards this genre. I have something wrong with me, some recessive gene in my body that I am obsessed with tower defense games. I play them all. I've probably spent more hours playing tower defense games in the last 2 years than maybe any other genre. So
Is that why you're always stacking boxes outside your office and people can't get in without being hit by a melon or something?
yeah.
So Trench though is like tower defense now with loot, right? So
Well, it
it's
has
even
loot,
more-
right? It has
And
drops.
it puts more of an emphasis on the actual avatar that you control.
Yeah, you control like a mech, and the mech, the loot drops are huge because they give you weapons, and each weapon could be what helps you get past the next level. Some of the levels are pretty freaking tough.
The second to last level.
Yeah, so there's a lot of experimentation. You can basically choose the chassis, you can choose the legs, you can choose
Oh, the
guns for each
customization's
arm. The
ridiculously
customization is
deep.
insane. It almost made me go insane when I got stuck on the one level. I used every permutation and combination I thought before I finally figured out exactly what I needed.
I would say the thing about this game is I also enjoyed it. I don't think I'm quite as head over heels as you, Shane, but the two things that I really disliked was I thought scrap collection was a little shitty, and that's the currency in game to actually put down the turrets.
So eventually what happens is you destroy things, they blow up into these basically TV tubes. They look like
Yeah.
little TVs.
Like CRTs, yeah.
So you either have to, you have a magnet on your mech that you can hold in and it'll suck them in, or you can put down these little encampments that will collect them for you.
But you're limited at the most. You'll only ever have 4 encampments
No.
in going into a match.
do
With
you
the
mean?
with the D-pad, you know how
You
you
mean the
select.
number of turrets you can put down?
Yeah.
Or-
No. You can put down 30 turrets.
No, types.
Oh, turret type.
Yeah, so and it feels kind of ridiculous that you'd have to waste one of your turret types on the collection if you're that seemed like a weird choice to me.
I'll tell you though, if you start using it, man.
But then you have less turrets to put down. But the game, we've talked about this a little bit. The game is very, very, very balanced
It
in a
is
lot of weird ways.
Incredibly balanced.
Like the more
literally, it is nip
third
and tuck.
the more third person shooting you'll go, the less turrets you'll need to put down, and your chassis will only have less turrets, like that kind of balance.
There's a sacrifice.
It's-
So if you have more turrets to put down, your mech has less guns to use, and vice versa.
But at times I felt like the balance it's very, very fine, but I felt like it was very also kind of delicate at
Oh, yeah.
at
But that's
some
what I
times.
liked about it.
Yeah, I mean, and some of the cool stuff in this game that I think it's kind of hard to actually notice when you're first doing it is like when you equip guns, there to the shoulder buttons, you can actually be firing 3 different types of guns from just one time. You could be shooting a grenade in like 2 machine guns, or maybe a grenade, a sniper rifle.
It
and
depends
stuff.
on the chassis that you choose. Like if you have a chassis that only lets you use 2 turrets, then you have like 3 slots for guns on each arm.
And it's very interesting. I would say though that you can't completely ignore putting down turrets, but you can definitely focus on shooting. So it's not like you can ever tip it straight into a turret game or straight into a
Truth be
shooter.
told, the only way I got through the hardest level in the game, which we both agree is the most difficult, was to
Volcano.
equip massive guns on both arms. I had tried every combination of turrets and every other gadget and doodad they had. It would not work until I was able to load up with 2 big guns and shoot manually.
On the same side, I would say the game kind of its appearance is there's an affordance of it feeling more like a third-person shooter because you don't
Definitely.
have that general overview of the map.
Yeah, it's not like
and
an
it's a little
overhead-
dreary, so sometimes you can get a little turned around since you're getting constantly like attacked from like literally you'll be attacked from all 4 directions in a lot of maps.
How much does
and
this game sell for? Because they sent
it's
me a
15.
code.
So it is a little pricey, but I think with the
Yeah.
co-op and there's replayability. Other than the scrap collection, which I felt was a little off, I was upset this game did not have a survival mode, which I think is good for
Oh,
tower defense games. Just to,
But isn't every level survival mode?
yeah, but it's not endless. You
Right.
know, I thought an endless mode would have been great.
Man,
How long did it take you to finish it?
I probably finished in about 5 or 6 hours.
So, sorry, $15 for about 5 hours. When you know,
Well, that was just playing the single-player campaign by myself. You can go back and play everything cooperatively with 3
Well,
other
come
players.
on,
get
that's,
higher levels.
that's
fine.
really
I mean,
nice.
you know.
I'm not criticizing. I think that's really good value. I mean, you know,
Dude,
especially,
I would not regret spending $15 on this game. I loved Trench.
especially if anybody dropped
But I would
$60
say-
on Dungeon Siege 2 last week.
I would say maybe the first 1/3 of the levels are kind of tutorial-y, though.
But I still would lose
Also-
the first couple times I tried them.
Also, the boss battles are also kind of the boss battles are more definitely in the third-person department, and I mean they're fun and they're quicker.
You still need turrets, though.
True. But it just makes the game. I don't think its shooting is necessarily its best aspect. And this is where I wanted to say, where we talked about this a little bit too. I think you may be pleasantly surprised when you actually get your hands on with Starhawk. I know you were a little
Yeah.
poo-pooed
Well-
it a little bit.
Well, my point with Starhawk was that there's no need to spend that kind of money to develop a tower defense game.
That-
Like, I'm fine getting DLC versions of these. Trench is plenty production values enough for me.
But see, but I'm kind of coming from almost the even more aggressive side of things, where I think paying for tower defense almost at all is a little ridiculous because there's still like desktop tower defense
Right,
and like
so you're gonna
thousands
pay
of
$60
games.
bucks for Starhawk?
Honestly,
But I'm still thinking mechanically, I think Starhawk may surprise you.
I'm
Yeah,
actually,
I'm sure I'll enjoy
I'm
to
with
play
Ryan
it.
on this one, having sat down and got a really good demo from it at E3. And ironically, some of the guys working on it were actually old school Westwood,
Yeah.
as in first
didn't know
Command
that.
and Conquer. So we had a good chat about that, and you can see there's definitely some Command and Conquer influences in there.
I'm sure I'll enjoy it. I just don't think if you're Sony first party, dedicating that team and that type of resources to a tower defense game is the right call. I think you could be making something.
I don't think
with
it's a hugely expensive game for them to make. But just to go back to Trenched, I'm looking forward to downloading and playing it after I've finished everything else. But I got to say that the XBLA games and Summer of Live is the only reason that my Xbox is getting fired up. Unfortunately, this summer, because there's nothing
Not that
else
many
on the
games,
horizon. Nothing.
There's not many games. Period.
There's-
July is looking
Sad.
horrible.
But
Yeah.
I mean, you know, again, we go back to you know, I actually tweeted yesterday that the PS3 is now my console of choice because of everything they have coming, even the third-party games. Batman, you know, I'm getting it on the PS3.
And I have to say, Orcs Must Die is just not just like Trench, but very, very much like Trench. You're running all around, so that's another one on to put on your radar.
I wonder where my breaking point is with these tower defense games. I'm going to test the limits.
I want you to play the South Park Tower Defense game and then see if you still love the franchise.
And tonight we dine on coconuts.
All right, so for the last segment of the show this week, we're going to talk briefly about the Uncharted 3 multiplayer beta. I think pretty much everyone in the world is on this beta. It's probably the
Or
biggest
downloading
Or trying
it.
to get on, yeah.
or still waiting to download. It took me almost 3 hours to download the beta client.
It did take a little while, although Ryan is the winner right now with 10 hours.
Yeah, I got my my modem and my acoustic coupler downloading
We're
a
using a
300
tin
baud.
can to get internet reception.
He connected to AOL, and he kept on getting ASL pop-up
No,
chats
AOL's,
while
no,
he was
this
down
is,
at
I got
download.
Prodigy and CompuServe.
Wow, player!
So yeah, I mean, obviously the servers were getting pounded yesterday. Kind of to be expected. There was probably 500,000 people trying to download this thing at once, and it's not a small file. So I honestly only got to play 2 matches last night before I had to go to bed. I think Marcus, you got to play a lot more, right?
I got to play a little bit more. Justin, I think, is probably the one
I
who's
a
played the
bunch,
most.
actually. Yeah, I just downloaded in 40 minutes and started playing. I played
You got
like
lucky,
12
dude.
matches
You
or
got
something.
that
I
fast
don't know.
lane somehow.
I live near rich people, I think.
Yeah, you're obviously near
Suck the
a
internet toward
router
me.
box. Yeah. But no, it downloaded. I mean, there were some issues with PSN yesterday. Halfway through my 3-hour download, PSN signed me and a bunch of other people out because I don't think they can handle it. And PSN is still
Well, that
an
happened to
issue.
me, but it continued to download it. It
Well,
signed me out,
I
but the
had
download kept going.
It signed me out, but I had to go log back in to continue the download.
Well, what's the game like?
It's pretty cool.
I played Team Deathmatch. I'm
Shoot
probably
some
not the
guys.
best person to talk to, but
Well, there's not that many modes out right now, right?
No, there's only like I think four, and they're changing up the modes every week over the next 3 weeks. I spend a lot of my time playing co-op, which is what I recommend to get into it. If you haven't played, the Uncharted multiplayer before, co-op is a lot more fun. Where it's 3 of you and you're against just AI, and it's a good way to get your levels up, get your ranks up, start picking up some.
I think
loot
it's
to
called
unlock
Co-op
stuff.
Arena. The co-op mode they have here is Co-op Arena, and they have other co-op modes that they're going to be showing later, which are objective based, or the treasure. I
They have
forget exactly what they call it.
Co-op Hunter, which is 4th of July week that kicks off then, and then Co-op Adventure the following week.
Yeah, but here's it's a pretty basic horde mode. I actually couldn't get into it, but I could get into it, but it was just me. And
You're the
it's
only one.
Not so fun.
That's
Co-op
challenging,
co-op
yeah.
modes are not so fun when it's just you.
I actually got, ironically, that was the one I got into the easiest out of, I think, all of them. But I definitely say that if you are new to it, it's a good way to get you ranked up and get a familiarity with the maps and with the weapons in particular.
Definitely some rank
maybe-
ups and monies will help you.
Yeah.
Team Deathmatch is probably the best thing to dip your toe in, just to learn the mechanics of it, how the aiming works.
Marcus got
If you
killed too hard, I think.
Learn
If
the
you
maps.
want to get dead a lot and you have an unfamiliarity with it, because again, I mean, at heart I'm still a mouse and keyboard jockey when it comes to these sort of things, and but I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it more because I like the co-op. I like working in tandem with people and trying to get the objectives done. And I think going from co-op into Team Deathmatch is probably a smarter move, because one of the things right now is that the matchmaking is a little bit off, because you get to level or rank 3 or 4, you can start unlocking stuff pretty quickly,
and you just get destroyed.
But you
If you're
still
the
get
if you're rank 1.
yeah, you end up cannon fodder, and it can be very disconcerting.
Yeah, it's
I don't
especially
think
when
it's
everyone's
so bad, but I mean, if people unlock the sniper rifle, I think at around 5 or 6, and then you're like, what the hell? Why does everyone have sniper rifles right now?
why are they
But,
killing me with the sniper rifle?
Yeah. But it's not it's not
But
super OP. The default guns are pretty good.
It is a beta, and we know that there's going to be a lot more options, and I'm sure
But
there's
dude,
going
think
to be.
about it already. What we've seen. I mean, based upon past multiplayer betas we've been on, this already destroys it. And we have like 2 more waves of modes coming in the next couple weeks.
It is very, very polished. I will say that right now the aiming for me, the aiming convention, it still feels a little bit off. It feels a little bit slow to and
You can adjust the sensitivity.
Yeah, I haven't got around to running the full tweaks, which is why we're going to go in depth next week. But it's definitely a good start, and it's good to see people doing this on the consoles. I still, I have to say, it's stuff that PC games have been doing for several years.
But did you notice the little streaming video thing in the corner
Uncharted
when you're in the lobby?
TV.
It'll play trailers, or it'll play other stuff. I'm
When
sure they'll
that's
do some cool stuff with that.
Honestly, when that starts playing porn, I'll be in.
All right, that's it, everyone, for episode 166 of Invisible Walls here on GameTrailers.com. My butt is not going to be on the show next week. I'm headed back east to see my pops for a little while. But everybody have an awesome July 4th weekend. Please be safe. Please be careful. And once again, anything you can do to help our boy Matt Lewis, we would really, really appreciate it. So I'll see you all in a couple weeks. Invisible Walls is up and out. What's up, everyone? We have a special gift for those of you who stuck around after the close of the show today. We have 100 beta codes for Uncharted 3, but here's the catch. The only people who can get these codes are people who add us as a new follow on Twitter. So that's at Invisible Walls on Twitter. We'll be giving them away all weekend. So once you add us, send us the message and we'll get you a code.